webcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
And you can see my screen, right? Okay. Okay, I'm going to get started then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. It's about 5 HR processes that any company can automate. So this is going to be part 1 of the 2-part series. So today we're going to cover the onboarding process, offboarding process, and leave of absence process. And then in part 2, we'll cover the contractor management process and the timesheet process. I'm here today with Giovanni Lopez, who is the training manager here at ProcessMaker, and he's going to take you through the demos of these 3 processes. However, before we get started with the demo, I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should automate your HR processes. And then at any point during the webinar, you can feel free to submit your questions to the questions panel. And then after the demo, we will get around to answering all of your questions. So let's begin. So pretty much every company has an HR department, or at least has HR needs that need to be met. So for every employee, HR departments have to do a lot of work. They have to deal with paper forms and filing, manual data entry. They need to track data for each individual staff member. But basically what all of the points on this slide represent are disruptions in either the HR department's day or in the day of the employees. So for example, if you're trying to request leave, a lot of times, if you don't have these processes automated, you'll have to either ask for a paper form from HR, you'll have to find a way to print off a paper form from HR to be able to request leave, which, you know, is not hard, but it does represent a lot of disruptions in your day, having to go back and forth to HR, having to print off these forms, whether you have one or not, and it just adds up to a lot of little different annoyances. The other thing that HR departments have to deal with is inputting information for every employee. And a lot of times HR departments need to do this manually, either when the employee first enters the company or if they need to enter employee information into different systems. And obviously this can lead to human error, and it's just a waste of HR department's time. So then for all of these, every time your company grows and adds a new staff member, that also adds more busy work to the HR department. And when you start off small, that might not be a problem, but as your company grows, the work for the HR department grows exponentially as well. And then so the HR's time is consumed with all of these tiny little tasks when their time would be better spent you know, cultivating the company culture, finding out how to retain employees to lower turnover, and also searching for the best talent and other tasks that require a little bit more skill than these sort of busy work examples. So in that case, it's worth automating your HR processes to not only solve these problems, but also increase the potential of your HR department to find good talent, reduce turnover, cultivate the company culture, and overall just improve the human resources available at your company. So the way that automation software solves these HR problems is by providing digital forms. So not only does HR need to manually print off forms and employees don't have to find forms, but also human resources doesn't have to manually file the forms as well. So that makes it file retrieval a lot easier. They don't need to organize those files manually because that's all done by a document manager within the automation software. And then adding on to that is that documents can be auto-generated. So HR does not have to manually change information within documents to generate a document for each individual staff member, such as contracts, leave of absence forms, and other forms that HR has to deal with. And then in the case of needing approvals, such as for a leave of absence process, an employee or HR does not have to pass around a paper form around the office to the supervisor. Automation software automatically routes that leave of absence approval based on whether or not the supervisor approved or rejected that leave. So that means there's no time spent hunting for people, and the automation software automatically routes that looking at the decision that was made. And you'll see that today as well. So again, it also improves in coordination between different stakeholders within the process. And then the employee is not left wondering what decision was made about their leave. They are automatically notified via email or another messenger system. And then you can also connect external HR management systems to the automation software, such as ProcessMaker, to also pull in information and export information between those systems, which helps eliminate manual data entry and then therefore eliminates human error. And one of the biggest benefits of automation software is that they're scalable with company growth. So as employees enter the company, so does automation software expands the ability of HR to manage the information and processes that come with additional employees. And you'll see examples of this in the demos that Giovanni is about to show today. So that's all I have about why you should automate your HR processes. So I'm going to go ahead and let Giovanni get started with demoing the employee offboarding, employee onboarding, and leave of absence processes. All right.
Perfect. I think we have that part. Let me share my screen. No.
Do you want me to ask you questions, or do you want to just go through it?
Questions like, yeah, I think I'm going to be able to solve any question.
Okay. Might ask you if I think of them, but
okay.
Let me.
Can you see the onboarding process?
Yes, I can. Let me get out of the Prezi. Yep, okay, perfect.
Okay, then I think I'm ready to start. Okay, thank you, Summer, for that introduction. So as Summer was telling you, we're going to demo 3 of these very common HR processes that almost every company has, right? For example, this one, which is related to employee onboarding. This process includes all of the steps that should be completed in order to properly onboard an employee. So you can see that we're going to have 4 departments participating here. We're going to have the Human Resources Department, IT, what else? Let me see, the Administrative Department, and also a manager, right? So the first step that we're going to complete here is to fill out the new employee info. Then the administrative department is going to be able to assign all of the required assets and resources. You can see that all of the tasks that are supposed to be completed by our IT department are actually service tasks, right? So in a moment, I'm going to show you how ProcessMaker can connect to external services and systems in order to complete this kind of automatic tasks. Then we're going to be sending out an email with all of the required credentials for our new employee to access the assets that we are making available for him. And finally, the manager is going to set a trial period for this employee. And once this period is completed, and you can see that we're going to pause this case for a moment here, or until a specific date, the date that's defined here, then we're going to be able to either reject or stop the hiring of this employee, extend the time of trial period, or simply hire this employee. And for this, we're going to finally onboard this employee, and we're going to also update the employee info in our database. So this is a very basic process. As I was telling you, this is a very common process, and the objective of having this process automated like this in ProcessMaker is that our human resources department doesn't forget a step from this process, and everything, all of the information that we're going to be using in this process is going to be properly registered and archived in ProcessMaker. So let me create a test case related to this process. Let me go to the home interface, and I'm just going to create a new case related to the onboarding process. Okay, so we're going to be creating a new case. We have the employee onboarding process right here. Okay, so you can see that for time matters, we have this pre-filled form that we're going to use. But anyway, this should be the only point when we are going to enter information about this user. Once we submit this form, we're going to be able to retrieve this information at any point of the process. Okay, so you can see that we're going to onboard a new employee called Max Power. We can see all of his information, the date of birth, the email, social security number, the phone number, his address, and maybe this is something important that we're going to find here, all of the assets that we are assigning to this new employee. We can see that we are assigning him a laptop, which is going to be a MacBook Pro, and a phone, right? Well, without needing any additional information, we can submit this form, and we're going to continue to the next task. So if you remember the process map that we're following, we just completed this task, and now we're going to work with the administrative department. So we can see that Mike Crowley works there, so we can log in as Mike to take care of all of the assets that Max Power is going to need. Okay, so once we submitted that request, we can see that Mike receives this case in his inbox. We can see the onboarding of Max Power here related to the employee onboarding process, right? And our task is to assign the asset and resources required. So we have the complete information related to this user, all of the information that was filled out in the previous form. They are asking us to assign these assets to this user. So we have to prepare a laptop for him. We can mark it as assigned, and also a phone, right? And then we are able to continue with this process. Okay, you can see that the next task is a service task. Let me go back to the process again. And we're going to be creating accounts for this user to access to all of the systems that our company uses. For example, we're going to be creating a new ProcessMaker account for him. We're going to be creating a new ProcessMaker University account for him. This is a Moodle connector with a Moodle platform that we're going to use. And also, we're going to create a Gmail account for him. So, as I was telling you, we're using connectors here. And when I say connectors, I mean that ProcessMaker is going to automatically complete this task. We don't need anybody from the IT department manually entering these systems or these external systems in order to create these accounts manually. And you can even connect from ProcessMaker to your external HR system in case you need to send information from ProcessMaker to that external service, or I don't know, also creating an account there, right? So it's telling me that the next task is a service task. We can continue with this process. At this point, all of the accounts should have been created, right? So as I was telling you, these are going to be completed automatically. We're sending out the credentials to the user, which is configured with my email address. Let me just go to my email inbox, and I'm going to be able to show you the email that I just received. Okay, so you can see that I just received this email right here. Let me share it with you. There we go. This is the email that I just received here. So it reads, "Dear Max, we're so excited to be working with you." Okay, so this is the email that I just received. It reads, "Dear Max, we're so excited to be working with you. Welcome on board." And you can see how I just received all of the credentials related to Gmail, ProcessMaker University, and ProcessMaker. So what I'm going to do now is to try to access to these systems with the provided credentials. So let me open a new incognito window, and I'm gonna begin with Gmail. Let me copy this. We're gonna be also logging in ProcessMaker University. There we have the login page, and also in ProcessMaker. There we go. So these are the systems that we're going to access: Gmail, University, and ProcessMaker. Let me use the provided credentials. This is the email that we just created for this new user using a connector. And we can use the password provided by ProcessMaker or our ProcessMaker process. You can see that I'm just logged into Gmail. I have to accept their policies. I have to create a new password. Let me quickly create a new one. There we go. You can see that now we have access to the Gmail account related to my company's Gmail domain, right? Okay, so I'm ready to go here. And also University. Let me also copy this username. There we go. Again, the password provided. And we're ready to start working with ProcessMaker University. And finally, with ProcessMaker example. Okay, let me try again. Through. There we go. So we're also ready to start working with ProcessMaker. Okay, so you can see that these accounts were created automatically using some connectors in my process. We're gonna go back to our process map. So the next step should be setting up a trial period, and this is gonna be done by the manager. If I'm not sure who's currently assigned to this case, what I can do is to take a look at my participated folder, and you can see the onboarding related to Max Power, and you can see that the current user is Ian, right? So let's log in as Ian, and let's set up that trial period. You can see that's the task that Ian has to complete. There we go. Again, the complete information. We can see that all of the required assets were assigned. We don't have any additional information, and we can set up a new trial period. So, for example, we can set up a new date here, maybe for today, just to keep it simple. We can submit this information, and then I'm going to have to evaluate the trial period. So you can see that we have reached this point of the process, and the case is going to be paused until the trial period ends. And once that happens, the case is going to be automatically moved to my inbox. But for matters of time, again, we can just unpause that case, just continue with this presentation. We have the option right here, unpause, yes, and it's gonna go right to my inbox, right? Okay, what else? We have to evaluate the trial period. You can see that we have three options here. We can either extend the time of the trial period or reject the hiring of this employee, or simply continue with the process, right? Continue to the onboard employee task. So let's continue. You can see the same three options here: yes, no, and extend proof deadline. So we could even set up a new trial period end date here, right? So let's select yes, submit, and that's all what the manager has to do with this process. Okay, we have Brianna Krielman, who's in charge of this employee's onboarding. And that's the last step that we're going to complete in regards to this process. So Brianna, who's in charge of human resources. Let's complete the last task, onboard employee. Okay, so at this point, we're ready to generate the employee agreement. You can take a look at the output document that we're going to generate here. So I don't even need to go to the document management system, right? I can just download this contract right from this form. Okay, and this is a contract tailored with the information that we filled out about this user, and this is ready to be printed out, ready to be signed. So as easy as that, we generated a new employee agreement, and we have the complete information related to this new employee. And after that, we just completed the employee onboarding, right? Okay, so as I was telling you, we're making sure that none of these steps are forgotten. We don't have any paper forms that could get lost. You saw that we entered the user information once, and then that information was available through the whole process. You saw how we interact with people from human resources, the administrative department, also a manager here. And the IT department related tasks those were automatically completed by ProcessMaker, right? Using some external connectors here. What else? We saw how to send automatic notifications here. Other features that we were able to review during this process: how to pause a case until a specific date, which actually results very useful for for most of the process related to trial periods. And finally, we saw how to automatically generate a document from ProcessMaker, right? Using the whole information from past tasks.
That was perfect. I don't think we need to do that again.
Re-record it.
Yeah. There was one thing I have a comment about, and that was when you were like, we'll just fill it in with today's date, which is today,
Yeah,
and not
the calendar is not working.
The webinar. So it's going to be really obvious that we pre-recorded it, but I think it's like a big enough deal that I want to re-record it.
And the calendar is not working. That's why I selected that date.
What?
The calendar is not working. I mean the date field. Let me show you.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that happened to me before, but then I went back in and it worked again. So I don't really know like what the deal was. That was the trial period.
Right. This one's working. Damn.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, it just did that sometimes. But, you know, it's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, there's the dates are displayed, like, in the case inbox anyway, so...
Oh, yeah. The case creation date.
Yeah. But that was really good. I'm really happy with that.
Okay.
You hit every single point and more, so...
should we continue with the offboarding one?
No, because the whole thing was like sort of following the employee's journey, you know, so it's like they haven't been offboarded yet, so they're going to want to do a leave of absence.
Okay, perfect.
But it doesn't matter. We can always rearrange them. But yeah.
This is the process, right? Leave of absence, request 301.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, just whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, so let me continue with the second process. This is a leave of absence request process. You can see that this time we're going to be working with an employee who's going to request a leave of absence. Then we have a supervisor who's going to either approve or reject this request. And finally, the human resources department that's in charge of updating this employee's information. Now, all of the business intelligence or the business logic that we're going to apply to this process is going to be managed by ProcessMaker. You can see that we're using gateways for that. We're going to be following different paths in case the request is either approved or rejected, or in case we need more information about it. You can see that we have a couple of connectors here. We're going to be also be working with Slack, which is an instant messaging platform that I'm going to show you in a moment. So ProcessMaker is going to be able to connect to that platform in order to send some instant messages to different users, in order to inform this employee or the HR manager that this request has been approved or rejected, or there's any action that should be completed here. Okay, so we can start working with this process. Let me create actually a test case, and we're going to be following all of these tasks, okay? So let me go to my home interface and let me log in as this new user that we created a moment ago with the previous process. And is it okay if I use max power, or maybe
yeah, he should be assigned, or maybe
Maybe I can
Sorry.
assign it right now. True to.
Yeah, maybe I forgot to add them to the employees group.
Okay, I'm gonna do that again.
Sorry about that. I
Uh,
did type it as Max, so I don't know what happened.
okay, Pablo, if you're listening, you should cut that part. Okay, so I'm gonna log in as Max Power. There we go. And we're gonna be creating a new leave of absence request. So the system is already getting all of my information from the database, so I don't have to actually fill it out. That's very time saving. Let me see, I just need to fill out the request details. I have to select the type of absence, which is going to be paid. I'm going to be out on vacation from maybe from May the 20th to, oh, this is another useful thing as well. It's validating that the to date date that we're selecting here, that it should be higher than the initial date, right? So let me select a posterior date here. We're gonna go out on vacation from May the 20th to May the 24th. So we're taking 5 days, right? We're not going to add any comments here. We're just going to submit this request. You can see that this request is automatically assigned to these users in Supervisor. So it's going to be approved or rejected by Ian Barrett. So let me continue. I'm going to log out here, access as Ian. And we just received this leave of absence request. As a supervisor, we should review all of this information, and we have 3 options here. We can either request more information about it in case we need more information about the reason that this user is stating for this request. We can also reject this request right here or approve it. So if you take a look at the process map that we're using, which is this one, so we have these 3 options, right? We could request more information, which is going to reassign the case or actually route the case to the initial user, to the requester, in order to get more information from him. We could reject this request, which is going to create a new Slack message, which is going to send to a public group, and then end the process. Or we can approve this request, also create another message in Slack, and then transfer this case to the employee for him to report the days he took, right? So let me see the options that we have here. We can approve this request. This is going to activate a service task. Okay, did you hear the sound? I just received a new message here. You can see from Slackbot, which is telling me that my leave request was approved, right? Have a nice vacation, a very nice message here. So that's the external connector from ProcessMaker that's creating that message here. And the case should be routed to the initial user, to the employee. But anyway, as I was telling you, whenever you need more information about a previous case or a case you participated in, you can always take a look at the participated folder, and we can see that the current user is Max Power, right? Okay, so let's log in as Max Power. and we're going to report the days we took. It's asking me if I really took those 5 days that I requested. We're gonna confirm this number, and this is going to go back to my supervisor. So we're just following this process, right? We just reported the days we took. Of course, this process or this case is going to be paused until my vacations are over. And we just need to review this information as Max's supervisor. So let me log in as Ian. Take a look at my inbox. We have to review this information. And there we go. So I can either approve or reject this request. So we can even add a signature here. I'm not really good at signing with my touchpad, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm really bad at it. Giovanni, there we almost go. There we go. Okay, so we're not going to add any comments here. And finally, the HR responsible has to, let me see, update the information related to this employee. We know that the HR responsible is Brianna, so we're going to log in as her. There we go, Brianna. And we have to update Max's information. Okay, so this is the whole information that we have from Max and also from his supervisor. And as the HR representative, we can just also add our signature like this. Brianna. There we go. That went better actually. Okay, and finally we can even download the leave of absence related document, right? We can take a look at this. We have again the complete information and also a nice logo and all of the information related to my company here. And you can see that we're including both signatures, right, that I just did. The ugly one and the one that went pretty good. And that's it. You can see that this is also a very simple process. Well, it could seem to be simple, but having it automated like this in ProcessMaker will for sure save us a lot of time, and will make sure again that all of these steps are completed. You can see that we're using a connector in order to create messages in an external messaging system. At first you saw that I didn't have to guess or ask anybody for how many days, how many available days I have to go out on vacation. The system is getting those for me from the local database. Maybe another nice thing about this process is how we included that signature using the touchpad or your mouse, and that signature is also included in the generated document that we saw at the end. Okay, so that's everything related to this leave of absence request process, a very useful process. Summer?
You forgot to go to the document manager. Go to the document manager.
What was that for?
That part. Go to home.
Through to more connectors to disable.
No, go to the home in this instance.
Okay, through
go to, oh, you have to log back in as the admin. That's the problem. Maybe we should give her permission. I guess I tested it as the admin, so. Go, yeah.
There isn't anything about the document
Go to
management system
documents.
in your notes.
Sorry. This is why I talk to you about it. Go to leave in the directory.
Okay.
And then open it.
Let me see. Max Power?
Yeah.
Okay.
You missed it. What did I write? Sorry about that. Oh, I did write it, liar. When the end document is generated, we find it easily in the document manager, organized by the process and their name.
Okay. Yeah, but I can mention it right now.
Yeah, so we can, I guess we can just do it from the admin. Oh, and this is another thing is like you should close the other windows so you don't mix them up. But yeah, we can start from the document manager and then maybe insert that part into the actual webinar.
Okay. Here I said that's it about this process, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna continue from there. Okay, but before continuing with the next process, that document that we generated here, you should be able to easily find it in the embedded document system management that we have in ProcessMaker. So we can take a look here. We have documents. You can see that all of these are properly classified here, and also we have a complete folder for our leave of absence requests. You can see that I have a complete folder related to this user, Max Power. And we should also be able to find the leave of absence document related to the request we just completed. So following the BPM guidelines, we should have everything or all of our documents well classified and well stored in the same server, right? So this is pretty useful as well. That's it about this process, right? Summer?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna prepare the last one.
Yeah, you should close those tabs because you kept on going back to the onboarding process. Last time. But the hard ones are over now. The offboarding one is a little bit easier. And you should make your screen full screen.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So the last process that I would like to show you today is related to an employee offboarding. So this is basically related to all of the tasks that we should complete once an employee is requesting to leave the company. So this is a process that is often left behind. I mean, it's not properly defined in most companies, but this is really important in terms of deactivating all of the accounts that we created for this user, making sure that all of the company information is not available for this user anymore. So that's basically what we're trying to get from this process. Okay, so it's actually a human resources manager who's going to request to remove a new employee. Then we're going to be asking the new employee to return all of the assets that were assigned to him. We're going to have his supervisor looking over all of that. I will say that this employee completes this task right here. And finally, you can see that from administrator or from administration, we're going to be dismissing the office equipment, right? We're using a number of connectors in this process as well. If you remember, we used connectors in order to create accounts for this user. So we're going to use different connectors this time in order to disable these 3 accounts that we created for him, for ProcessMaker, ProcessMaker University, and also from Gmail. And finally, we're going to have someone in the HR department reviewing and updating this employee's information. The last connector that we're going to review here is related to Google Calendar. We're going to be scheduling a new calendar event, which is going to be related to the exit interview. Okay, so let's create a new case related to this process. There we go. I'm going to create a new case, and this time it's going to be a case related to the offboarding process. We should select an employee. So maybe we can disable the accounts that we created for Max Power, right? That was the user that we created using the previous process. You can see all of his information here. We're gonna dismiss this user maybe on May the 6th. A reason of dismissal, maybe Max resigned. We can even select a document to be uploaded here as the employee's letter of resignation, right?
Yeah, so this is the problem because when you delete a user, it doesn't get deleted from that table, right?
I selected the wrong user, the wrong
you selected the wrong record, exactly.
The wrong Max, okay.
So I'm not entirely sure where we should. Oh, I guess you can go back a step and then start over again. Good idea.
Okay, so we just need to submit this form right here. No. That's not the
See, this is why I wanted to delete them, but you apparently had a good run the first time, so.
Okay, let me try until it works. Maybe which Max Power should I? Maybe this one. Nope.
The second one, I think.
Okay, so this case is going to be assigned to this user, Max Power, and let's see what task he has to complete. So we can log out here, continue as Max Power. We already have his credentials, and he has to complete the offboarding checklist. Okay, you can see the document that we uploaded a task before, and we can enter all of the assets that were assigned to this user. Let me just continue with this case to make it quicker. It's going to go to my supervisor or Max's supervisor. Maybe I can show you again the map that we're following. So we completed these two tasks, and now the supervisor has to evaluate all of the information that we're going to receive from Max. So let me log in as Ian. We have Max's offboarding here, and we're going to perform the supervisor evaluation. There we go. We can either approve or reject this request or this information, as we have been doing with the previous processes. You always have these nice options, and your supervisors are going to love to have colorful and fat buttons to be used here. So we can approve this request, and then we're going to transfer or route this case to the person in charge of administration. In this case, that's Mike Crowley. So we can log in as Mike. We have the offboarding here. We have the complete information. And you can see that the next task is a service task, right? Which is going to be actually disabling all of the accounts that we created for Max. So we can hit on continue and let ProcessMaker connect to those external systems in order to disable the accounts that we created for Max. So if you remember, I have this window with all of the accounts that we created for Max. Maybe we can try to continue working with Gmail. Boom, we're out, right? Let me try to use the same password that we were using. Oh wait, we defined a new password for this account. There we go. You can see that this account was disabled by the domain administrator, right? Let me try with ProcessMaker University. Max.power. Invalid login. And finally in ProcessMaker. Again, Max power example. User inactive, right? So you can see that Max doesn't have access to any of these systems anymore. Okay, so that's pretty useful because we didn't have to go to Gmail or talk to the Gmail administrator in order to disable this account. We can do that right from ProcessMaker. Okay, let's continue with the last task, which should be assigned to the HR manager. So let me take a look at my participated cases, and we're going to be logging in as Brianna. Perfect. So we just received this offboarding. Again, we have the complete information plus the document that we uploaded during the first task. We can schedule an interview. Maybe we can schedule it for May the 6th at 12, not 12 a.m., but 12 p.m. Very easy to select dates and times here. And that meeting is going to end at 1 p.m. There we go. Submit, schedule exit interview, which is a service task that's going to connect to Google Calendar in order to create a new calendar event. And that's it. That's the end of our process. Now, since we're using Summer's workspace, I should be able to find this calendar event in Summer's calendar. Let me just show you this part. And there we go. So you can see that we just created this new event called Exit Interview with Max Power on May the 6th at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., right? So basically this process has more connectors than the previous two processes that we saw today. We're connected from ProcessMaker to ProcessMaker itself, to Moodle, to Gmail, to Slack, to Google Calendar. So that's the beauty of using this kind of connectors in our processes. We don't have to log into external systems in order to complete all of the required tasks. We can just configure this kind of connectors, and then you can be sure that ProcessMaker is going to complete those tasks. Okay, Summer, I think that's it in relation to these processes. In case you have any questions about how these processes work, maybe some questions about the connectors that we reviewed today, or any functionality, interesting functionality that you saw during these processes, then you can just use the questions interface from GoToWebinar, and I'm going to be happy to solve your inquiries there.
Perfect. I think that's done. How do you feel?
More stressed.
Why?
No, that was stressful. Okay, but we're done.
Let me record the very end, and then we can send it to Pablo to edit.
Perfect.
Why are you? You should be not stressed at all. We're totally done with this. All right. Thank you so much again, Giovanni, for this webinar, for presenting the demo. Those were some really great demos, and we saw a lot of functionality to automate those HR processes. We saw connectors with 3 external systems. We saw automatic document generation, automatic document management, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So at this point, if you have any questions, like Giovanni said, go ahead and use the questions functionality to answer any questions that you have. And while you guys are submitting your questions, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the webinars we have coming up. So on Wednesday, May 15th, we'll be with Peter Brown, our sales director, and telling you how to choose the right process to automate for the most benefit. So this webinar will be, again, at May 15th at 2 p.m. New York time, and there we'll talk about how exactly to choose a process to automate with a workflow tool. After that, we are going to be with our CEO, Brian Reel, to talk about some of the new trends in BPM, such as robotic process automation, machine learning, and artificial intelligence in 2019 and beyond. And that's going to be on May 28th at 11 a.m. New York time. So then on June 11th at 11 a.m. New York time, we are going to present the second part of this webinar, which is 5 HR processes a company can automate. And that is going to cover a timesheet approval and entry process, as well as the contractor management process. So if you liked this webinar, feel free to register for that webinar on June 11th. And then finally, we have a webinar that we're going to co-present with Amazon Web Services about why financial institutions should move their workflow automation tool or enterprise software to the cloud. And that is going to be on June 25th at 11 a.m. New York time. So we've got some great content coming up, and I hope you guys will join us. So to register for any of these webinars, go to processmaker.com/services/webinars, and I would love to see you guys there. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and start answering your questions. All right, I think that's done.
Perfect. I would like to maybe blur the chat windows that I had in Gmail, and maybe also the names that are displayed in the calendar.
I think we can cut out that Gmail part because you started over again.
Oh yeah, because we received a message from the Momos.
Yeah, in the memes group. It's called Momos. So we can ask Pablo to take that out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now
I have a bunch of notes about stuff that Pablo needs to edit out. So I'll create a task and then I'll put those points.
Perfect. And I'm gonna share this recording with him right now.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do while you're still here is delete the connector so you don't freak out anymore.
Oh, I have to freak out today.
Why?
Nah, don't worry. So we just have to rely on the magic of magic fingers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Pablo, so we rely on you.
Pablo, magic fingers, Barroso. Let me go to my workspace, or you have access. You can delete it yourself too.
Okay, I'm gonna burn that workspace to the ground.
Are you gonna do it, or I'll do it right now?
Oh, you can do it.
Okay, well, you're watching me, so watch me do it. I promised you, so I'm promising right now. Oh, and I have to delete all those accounts too. Here's for create Gmail. Oh, that's Gmail. Hold on. This one I'll delete anyway, even though it just creates a user. And disable university user. Yes. Okay, that is all of the connectors I have for university.
Okay.
This workspace, and you can double check. Oh no, this one too. Let me get it. See, I'm thorough. I promised you, so I'm doing it. Okay. Now, do I have any more? No. And these are all correctly labeled, so. Okay, nothing. So no more of those connectors. They're not in another workspace except for the one that we use to actually create users. So you can, let me go back to the designer, make sure those configurations are deleted in the processes, which they should be. This one. See, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy yet, or is there something else I need to do?
Just make sure you delete that user, Max Power, from everywhere. And then I think we're done.
I also need to delete that guy in Gmail. I'll also tell CF I don't need those permissions anymore. After I delete your account. One day you'll come to work and all of your emails will be gone. But I'm pretty sure that would be a good thing. If you want me to do you a favor.
Maybe
Here.
you can delete Freddy's email.
Brian's.
It's still recording though.
Yeah. It's a joke. Let me see. I'll search for him. Pablo's. Yep. Okay. Max Power is gone. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Are you at peace now?
Yeah, what I had to do. Yeah, I have a couple of changes to do and then I'm gonna be fine. But that shouldn't take me too much time.
Okay. All right. I think that's all. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Okay, Summer. Talk to
Sort
you
of
later.
sound a little bit more excited. I
Yeah.
of myself making those processes for a whole week. And you were like, I guess we'll do this now. And I was like, no. But anyway, have a good evening.
You should be happy. You worked for it.
I am happy. I'm so glad this is finally done. I literally worked like the whole 40 hours the week before, or I guess it was last week. Oh my God. Putting those processes together and they kept on breaking. Everything went wrong. I literally was in the office until 8 or 8:30 trying to figure out what the hell was going on with all of the Google connectors. CF granted me 8 million permissions, and then it was crazy. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I'm really surprised only one thing broke, which was the calendar picker thing. Okay. All right. Bye.
Okay, Summer. Talk to you later.